and welcome back to Sense and Sensitivity. Today we're going to be talking all about my favorite rosacea and sensitive skin friendly sunscreens. Wearing sunscreen is the #1 dermatologist tip for anti-aging, and it also protects our skin from discoloration. Now when you have rosacea and a compromised skin barrier, wearing sunscreen is even more important because our skin is already compromised and can't protect itself as well as a more normal or normally functioning skin would. So I know in my case, sun is one of my biggest triggers, and it immediately makes me start feeling this burning sensation and I'll get really red. So I've learned over the years that wearing a mineral sunblock every single day is one of the best ways to soothe my skin, protect it of course from the sun and the elements, and also is just an essential part of my maintenance regimen. I want to start first with my favorite daily sunscreens. So my top favorite sunscreen is this one by Cetaphil. It's their daily facial moisturizer and it's SPF 20. Now normally you'd want a sunscreen of an SPF 30 or higher, but I love this one so much even though it's SPF 20 that I wear it pretty much every single day. I love that it's a mineral-based sunscreen. It's made of zinc and titanium dioxide. It's got a great tint that I think can match most light to medium skin tones, and I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. And it also has some really great soothing ingredients in here specifically made for rosacea-prone skin. And that's what I love about this sunscreen. I wouldn't really say it's thick, but it's definitely moisturizing, and it can leave your face a little bit shiny, but nothing that a little powder can't cover up. So what I typically like to do, since this is an SPF 20, is either go over it with some mineral foundation or a mineral SPF powder, or top it off with a different mattifying sunscreen of a higher SPF. So this Cetaphil sunscreen has licorice, caffeine, and allantoin, which are all ingredients that are great at soothing and reducing redness. So I just really love this product. I think it's a great all-in-one moisturizer and sunscreen for daily use. But this is not waterproof and is definitely not one I would use if I was going to be outdoors for an extended period of time, like going on a hike or going to the beach. Now I'll show you what the tint looks like. As you can see, I really like it. I've used many of these. It's got this sort of orangey beige tint. It's definitely warm. You can see it spreads out pretty nicely. And so I definitely say that this Cetaphil is my top pick. It does oxidize a little bit over the course of the day, so you might look a little bit more tan than you're used to, but the color match, in my opinion, isn't so far off that it outweighs the benefits of this awesome, soothing, and moisturizing, and really affordable drugstore find SPF that's rosacea friendly. The other daily sunblock that I love that's totally different is the Smooth and Poreless 100% Mineral Matte Sunscreen by Supergoop. Hoping it'll focus. There it is. Now this is totally different than this. Whereas I feel like the Cetaphil is an all-in-one and I can wake up in the morning and apply it as a moisturizer and sunscreen, this is super matte and great as a primer for makeup or just for placing over already moisturized skin. It has a light tint, but way less coverage than the Cetaphil, which I'd also say is light coverage. This is more of just like a sheer perfecting evening sunscreen. Something I like to do is layer this over the Cetaphil, and it's something that I learned, I think, from a video with Jessica Alba, where she puts her mattifying primer on top. So instead of using powder, I'll just squeeze a little bit of this into my hands, rub it in my fingers, and pat it on top of my sunscreen to mattify the skin and give me that extra layer of SPF, especially in my super sensitive areas like along my cheekbones and my nose, and then my forehead where I want to mattify a little bit. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Again, it has a kind of orangey beige tint, but I don't find that this one affects the color of my skin very much. It's super lightweight in consistency. It has that silicone-y feel and almost like a mousse-like texture. And once you rub it in and it dries, it just settles down so nicely and totally disappears and feels like silk. So this is a great option if you're maybe on the oilier side or prefer to put all your skincare on first and then just add your sunblock as a top layer and you want it to be more mattifying. So I love the Super Goop one. This one is definitely more expensive. I'll get it like on Derm Store when they're having a sale. So this one is way more affordable and just awesome as an everyday moisturizing sunscreen. Go with this one if you want a primer and something more mattifying. The last one that I'll talk about for everyday use is this Sunblock SPF 48 Mineral Creme by MD Solar Sciences. Now this one is really similar to the Supergoop in that it's that light kind of moussey silicone texture that's going to mattify the skin. So I'll do the same thing with this where I layer it on top of the Cetaphil just to give me more protection and to mattify the skin a little bit without needing to add powder. This one is not tinted. It's just kind of a white cream. So you can see there. But it smooths in really nicely. I'd say it's a little more moisturizing than the Supergoop, but still not one I'd put on my dry, sensitive, rosacea prone skin without moisturizer underneath. Also, my partner really loves this one. This was how I convinced him to start wearing sunscreen more regularly. So in case you have anyone in your life you're trying to convince to be more regular with their SPF application, this might be one to try. Also, this one can be pretty pricey, but I found this at Costco last year for $4.99, so I bought several bottles since they last until next year, and we're just going through them as needed. This one's also a great one for the beach, as is the Supergoop, because they're both waterproof, and this is usually what I'll wear on my face if I'm going to be outdoors and in the water. Badger is another awesome natural brand that's completely mineral based, and I love this for my body. Now this one is super thick, but honestly I don't mind that for a day in the sun because it does dry me out, and this does keep my skin nice and moisturized. I don't really like using this on my face. It's kind of like a diaper rash cream. It's super thick and white, but you can rub it in after a little bit of time, and it has super pure ingredients. It's got like 8 ingredients in it, so I like that one for the body when I'm going to be outside for long periods of time. It just gives me that little extra moisture too. The other sunscreen I love for extended periods outdoors and for my body is a sunscreen by Raw Elements. Now I don't have it on me right now, so I'll insert a picture. But this sunscreen is awesome. It's closer to zero waste because it comes in a metal tin. It's totally rosacea skin friendly. It's mineral based. It's got very few ingredients, and they're really good ingredients, and it's reef safe. It's pretty darkly tinted, so when you wear it, you look super tan. So it's not one I'd recommend for everyday use if you have light skin, but I really like it for the beach. It's moisturizing, and it does feel really soothing, although it is thick. Now let's talk about some sunscreens that I don't really like. Derma E is a great natural brand that they sell a lot at Whole Foods, and they have this all mineral sunscreen. It's not waterproof, but it's very thin. Now, you have to really shake it, and I don't really like the consistency. It's another white cream. It's actually pretty thin and moisturizing, but for some reason I just didn't like the feel of it on my face. It left my face shiny. It doesn't have a tint, which I think helps if it leaves you shiny, that at least it has that tint to even out the skin. It doesn't really have a smell. None of these have a smell, but this one still has a funky non-smell smell. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like the minerals, you can smell the minerals in it. So yeah, it always just feels like it sits on top of my skin, and I don't really like this one. Also, my partner will use this sometimes, and he says it always runs into his eyes. So, not my favorite, but might work for you. Let me know if you like this one. Now this is a great affordable option. It's Banana Boat, and it's pure mineral too. It's titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and it's reef safe. So this is an awesome one you can get at the drugstore that won't break the bank, and I think is great for being at the beach. It's not my favorite because again, it's pretty thick. And it's actually, in my opinion, harder to rub in than the Badger. It just takes longer. So this is not my top pick, but I do think this is a good choice, especially if you need to buy some sunscreen last minute and your only option is running to CVS. This would be a good one to check out. It's the Banana Boat Baby sunscreen lotion, a brand called Kypris. Now this is a product that a friend gave to me, so I was lucky enough to try it, and I don't have it with me now, so I'll insert a picture, but it's a beautifully formulated sunscreen in a little glass pot. It's non-tinted and it's super moisturizing. So even for me with my dry skin, it was way too moisturizing and left me feeling really greasy all day and super shiny, and it was hard to put makeup over. I've also tried the Suntegrity 5-in-1 tinted SPF, which is sort of similar to my beloved Cetaphil but way more expensive, and there was just something in it that irritated my skin. I know it's got I know it has like a vitamin C component or something like that, and I don't know if it's just too active, but it didn't work well for my skin. So that might be a great choice if you can handle vitamin C and other actives, but it wasn't good for me. Now, as I said earlier, I love this Matte and Poreless by Supergoop. I've also tried their CC cream, which is another completely mineral sunscreen by them, and that one just didn't work for me because the coverage was too high. I felt like the colors were a little bit off, and I did get some pilling, and it sort of enhanced the textures in my skin. So for me, what I'm really going for with my base layer is just something that's tinted to give me a little bit of even coverage, but not a lot of coverage, because then I'll go back in and color correct and use some concealer, which I'll show you in another video. So the Supergoop CC cream was just way too thick, especially for the color being off. When you have a sheer tinted one, I feel like you can kind of get away with blending an off color into your skin more easily, but with that one, there was no hiding if the color was off for you. Now the last two that I've tried that I really didn't like were the La Roche-Posay and the SkinCeuticals, and I'll insert some pictures here. So these ones are really interesting because you have to shake the little bottles. They're super, super liquidy, and they're supposed to be added as like a veil, a final element after you've done all your skincare to protect you from the elements. And there was just something about the texture of those fluids that did not work for my skin. They almost felt a little bit grainy going on, and they sat on top of the skin, which I think is the point of them, but it didn't feel good for me. I want one that's more moisturizing and gonna kind of fuse with the rest of my skincare and leave my skin feeling comfortable, plump, moisturized, but not super heavy and greasy. So I'm really happy with my Cetaphil and my Supergoop. They kind of take care of all my needs, but if a super sale was going on, these are some of the products that look really interesting to me that I might want to try. Definitely top of my list is Elta MD, the UV Elements and the UV Physical. I hear about those all the time. So many people in different rosacea forums love those Elta MD products, and I know tons of dermatologists talk about what a great brand it is. I just haven't gotten around to trying them. They're kind of middle range cost-wise, but I know it's another brand you can get on sale through Dermstore. So comment below if you've used either of the mineral Elta MD tinted products and what you thought about them. Another one that's newer to the market that I haven't tried yet is the CeraVe tinted SPF. Now I just looked up the ingredients again, and unfortunately it has niacinamide, which is an ingredient I'm allergic to, and I'll talk all about finding your ingredient triggers in a future video. But that one does look awesome, and it looks like it's getting really good reviews. I'm guessing it's pretty similar to the Cetaphil, so that might be a good affordable one to try. That's pretty easy to pick up at the drugstore. But sadly, not gonna work for me. Now, Supergoop has come out with a couple of new products lately. They have a SPF powder that's a mineral-based sunscreen, and they also have a mineral-based tinted eye cream. I'm not usually one for eye creams as a separate step. I just put my mineral sunscreen all around my eyes too, and it works fine. But you know, if it was part of some set or something like that and I was getting it at a great deal, I definitely want to try the eye cream. And the powder just seems like a really cool option to help top off your sunscreen during the day or in the summer when you're sweaty and a little bit more oily. The last sunscreen that I'm really curious about is by a small organic brand called Carrie Gran. Now it's not tinted, but it is a completely mineral-based sunscreen, and it has just really beautiful ingredients like red raspberry seed oil and plum oil. It's not fragranced at all, and it's housed in like a ceramic glass bottle. So as I continue to try to go towards more zero waste, it's definitely a product that's on my radar because it's super hard to find sunscreen that's not in plastic containers. Now, when you have rosacea, you kind of struggle more than a lot of other people, I think, in having to compromise between wanting to find products that are going to work for your skin and products that are good for the environment. Plastic isn't my first choice, but in this case, this is what's been working the best for me. But maybe in the future, if there's a sale, I'll try that Cary Grant and see how it works for my skin. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video all about rosacea-friendly sunscreens. Comment below on what sunscreens you like to wear, and stay tuned for more episodes from Sense and Sensitivity.